Now, as we go into this next step of the teaching, I'm going to speak about addictions, okay? Those things that are connected to the shrub in the desert, okay? Those things that can go wrong in our lives when we make an image of ourselves, if we don't handle or deal with the troubles in our lives, okay? And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to share with you the results of that, and then I will start sharing with you what leads to that, okay? Now, okay, when I say to you the word alcoholic, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
An alcoholic, someone given to alcohol.
Yes. When I say to you womanizer or homosexual, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
That's someone who is, I'll say his word given to going after women and things has to do with the sexual
Yeah,
stuff, things.
yeah. So, and what emotion do you feel?
About that issue.
Yes,
It's, uh, repulsion. Let me use that word.
yes. And so if I have two words, brokenness or judgment, which is the one that connects for you first and most quick to it?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
If I say, okay, for example, I say homosexual or womanizer, there is what then there are two words, brokenness or judgment. Which word connects first to that issue for you?
Of course, I think it's to the judgment.
Yes, because that is the way how in most churches these issues are treated. Okay, that is how it's treated. Judgment, judgment, judgment. But is that really the message the Lord gives? If you read the Old Testament, yes, because that was the covenant of the law. The law cannot redeem. But how did Jesus treat those issues? How did Jesus treat the woman caught in adultery? How did Jesus treat the woman at the well? Is that with judgment or with redemption of their brokenness?
Definitely not judgment.
No, he brings healing in their lives.
Yeah.
And by that, with his love, he pulls them out of that sinful lifestyle. In the same way, Jesus is pulling you with his love out of every darkness in your life into his marvelous light. And in that same way, with his love that he pulls us out of the darkness and cuts us off from every bondage of sin, in that same way, he wants us to reach out to others in the world, not in judgment. Now, let me take the issue of alcohol, okay? Because that is a typical issue we always had a discussion in every DTS about, okay, in Nigeria, when I was in Nigeria. What do you believe the Bible says about alcohol?
Um, what the scripture says about alcohol is not not to be given to alcohol, not to give in to drunkenness.
Yeah, but what about somebody just drinking sometimes a glass of wine or some beer?
Actually, Paul, Paul wrote to Timothy once that you know, talking about is that take a little bit of wine. Of course, I'm not saying I don't know. It's there in the scripture. It said take a little bit of wine, but he also said that be not given to drunkenness. So that's my own opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, you have read your Bible very well. Actually, do you know that a little bit of red wine, not white wine, doesn't work. A little bit of red wine does help people who have a problem with digestion. And obviously, Timothy had a problem with his digestion system. And Paul says, well, drink a little bit of red wine because that helps. And it does. Medically, it's known. It helps.
Yeah.
But the Bible is very clear against drunkenness. So now when you are in Nigeria, there are many churches where they will preach, oh, if you drink alcohol, you are doomed. The Lord will tear your name out of the book of life. You go to hell. You bad, terrible sinner. And now, you see, alcoholism is a very big problem in Nigeria, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So you can know, when I was in Nigeria, I never drink one drop of alcohol. But I'm going to try to explain to you how the same action of not doing something in this case with a different motivation can have exactly the opposite result. Okay? When somebody says, no, look at me, I don't drink any alcohol, I am a good and solid Christian, but you sinner, look how you are drinking alcohol, you are doomed to hell. Do you think that will bring that alcoholic, if he is an alcoholic, and in Nigeria, most people drinking alcohol do have a problem with alcohol, like being given to alcohol, being an addict. Do you think that that will attract that alcoholic to leave alcohol?
Certainly not.
Certainly not, no. It is a boasting self-righteousness of the one who says, oh, at least that. But did the Pharisees not do the same? Oh, Lord, thank you that I'm not as bad as that person over there in that corner. Oh, thank you, Lord, I'm so much better. And it disgusts the Lord. It's pride, it's a boastfulness in the flesh. Using not being given to one sin, but probably being given to many other sin. You know, it gives such a fake pride and self-righteousness. Now, why do I never drink a drop of alcohol? Not when I'm in Nigeria, not here either, when I'm in mission. Why not? It's not that I have a problem with alcohol. You see, when I'm in Italy, it's very normal that you drink a glass of red wine or white wine with your dinner. It's very unacceptable in Italy for anyone to be drunk. It's really not acceptable. People don't like it. And Italy doesn't have much problem with alcoholism because it's not acceptable in the culture. But everybody drinks a glass of wine with the meal, typically with the meal, because it helps digestion. And when you drink it with the meal, it doesn't affect your brain quickly. You don't drink more and more and more glasses. It's one glass, 2 glasses, stop. Because you don't drink it to get drunk. You drink it because it combines well with the meal and it helps the digestion. So alcohol in Italy is in general not being drunk to get drunk. You drink it with your meal. In the way the food makes sure it doesn't get to the brain. So I don't drink when I'm in mission. I don't drink any alcohol because my Bible says that my life should never be a stumbling block for anyone else. Paul says, become to each one like them, like become to the Pharisee like a Pharisee, not that you are under the law, and become to the weak as if you are weak. It means Paul says, go and stand next to the people you are trying to reach out to and become as if you are like them. Not that you are like them, but as if you are like them. An alcoholic, to get out of his addiction, is never ever to drink one drop of alcohol again. Because the day he tries to drink one little bit of alcohol again, he will be immediately back in his addiction. Okay? A recovering alcoholic is never to drink alcohol again, not one drop. So if I want to reach out to that alcoholic, I am never to drink a drop of alcohol anywhere remotely near in his presence and not even talk about it. You understand? I have to become like him to express my love and care for him. That's a whole different motivation of not drinking. Do you understand? Yeah. Now, if I can stand next to you in your biggest and deepest struggle and say, okay, because you have to maybe give certain limitations to your life in order not to be tempted into maybe the thing you are struggling with, okay? And I say, my brother, I really care for you and I want to help you. You know what? I am going to put that same limitation you have to put on yourself, I'm going to put it on my life as well. I'm coming to stand next to you. Will you now feel attracted to join me? When I can show that love and care? That's attractive, isn't it? Yeah. How can somebody come and stand next to you, limit his own life for your sake, and showing that in his action that he loves and cares for you? That is what Christ did for us. He came down from heaven and stood next to us, became one of us, experiencing all the horrors and terrors that are going on in this world. And he says, for your sake, I want to know what you are going through, and I will go through it myself to fully understand you and to show you that I care for you, and I will show you how to deal with your struggles of life, and I will show you how to get out of it in the right way. His life was an example of 33.5 years of how to resolve every single issue of life in a godly way. In that he expressed his excellent love for us. And in that same way, he wants us to stand next to other people. So it is a whole different motivation behind it to do the right thing. Not one of boasting, but one of humility. Okay? Now, what is addiction? Okay? Because I already mentioned the two things. If I speak about addiction, okay? Can you mention some addictions? What addictions you know?
Something like alcoholism, that you mentioned, the alcoholism, the sexual perversions, and I guess people get addicted to like a lot of things. Anything,
yes.
Anything can be an addiction.
Yes, drugs.
It could even be stealing. Yeah, those kind of things. It could be stealing can be an addiction. One could be addicted to even lying. One could be addicted to masturbation. Like a whole lot of things.
Yes. Yeah. Now, to make it a simple definition about addiction, you know, this is the most simple definition actually written by Dr. Dave Smith. He is the founder of the Addictive Behavior Counseling School in YWAM, which is a 3rd level school. Okay, your DTS that you are doing is 1st level. Have you heard about the University of the Nations?
Yes.
Okay, so you are doing now the level 1 course. Then the next course that you can do is a second level course, but there are also third level courses, and then there are master degrees plans. Okay, so when you want, for example, to go into the area of counseling, after your DTS, you can do the foundations for counseling ministries, or you can do family ministries school. Okay, then after those, you can go to third level, where you have, for example, the addictive behavior counseling school or the advanced counseling schools. Okay, they are third level schools. Now, Dr. Dave Smith is the one who created and founded the addictive behavior counseling school. I did the school as well. I've been staffing it. And he said any habitual, so repetitive or compulsive. Now, compulsive is like you are forced to do. You cannot control it yourself. You cannot stop it by yourself. Compulsive use of a substance or activity. So it's either a substance or an activity, which already very well you have the understanding. Okay, most people only mention substance, but they don't understand that activities, behaviors can also be addictive, and that says that causes a problem in one's life. Now, one thing is that between what creates or what signifies an addiction is that there is always a sense of pleasure somewhere involved in it. Okay? That differentiates a neurotic behavior from an addiction, or a compulsive behavior from an addiction. Okay? Now, there is an example in the Bible that Jesus gives, okay? Because when we are in addiction, we do not bear good fruit, or no fruit at all. In the eyes of the Lord, we only bear bad fruits, no good fruits, okay? We are addicted. In Luke 13, there is a scripture, and Jesus starts sharing a parable. And it says, he began telling them a parable, and a certain man had a fig tree that had been planted in his vineyard. And he came looking for fruit on it, but did not find any. Now, here two plants. I love plants. I'm a landscape architect before the Lord called me into mission. I love plants, and I love it that Jesus knows his plants so well. He knows the plants in Israel very well, and he uses them in his parables. Now, the fig tree and the vine, they are two plants very often used. Okay, they are both a picture of the believers. Now, the fig tree is very significant because a fig tree, the wood is not straight. It has different stems, it's bended very much, so you cannot use, and it's hollow inside. The wood is not beautiful, it's not nice, it's very breakable. So the wood is useless for any timber. You cannot use it as timber at all. Then if you try to use it as firewood, it burns up very quick and gives very little heat. So it's useless for firewood. The fig tree is not particularly beautiful. The leaves are not shiny green. They're a little bit matted kind of green. The shape is kind of nice, but you know, with not being a nice color in itself, it's not a tree that you will plant because of its beauty. So the tree, and it doesn't have any nice flowers. You don't see even the flowers. So it doesn't flower either. So it's in every aspect, it's a completely useless tree, just taking up space, except for the fruit. The figs, and I don't know if you have, in Nigeria, unfortunately, the fig tree, I think you could plant it, but it would never bear fruit because it will need a cold season in order to bear the fruit, to let drop the leaves and then shoot out. So I had a fig tree in Nigeria, but it doesn't grow well in Plateau State. You know, there's even the best place to try it, but it doesn't really bear fruit. So the fruit of the fig tree is extremely sweet. very tasty, and very highly nutritious. Almost everything you need is in that one fruit. And that is now exactly what our lives are. If our lives do not bear the fruit of the Lord, if we don't do the things that the Lord has as purpose for our lives become completely useless, only a trouble to other people. But when we bear fruit in Christ, our lives become highly valuable, because the fruit of the Lord in our lives brings life to other people, is nutritious for other people to come to know Christ and be redeemed. Okay? So when you notice a story of a fig tree in the Bible, give attention, okay? And it says, so he said to the vineyard keeper, for 3 years I have come looking for fruit on this fig tree and I have found none. Cut it down. What is that? Judgment. Yes?
Yes.
This useless person, judgment. Why does it even use up the ground, depleting the soil and blocking the sunlight? You see, what most times the issue is, people that live in sin, that do not bear any good fruit, they will make other people to stumble and fall into sin. It is using up the ground and blocking the soil from sunlight. It blocks other people from being able to grow. And it doesn't bear any fruit itself. And then verse 8, look how the keeper of the vineyard replies. He said, but he replied to him, let it alone, sir, just for 1 more year, until I dig around it and put fertilizer. And if it bears fruit after this, fine. But if not, then cut it down. So this person, the keeper of the vineyard, does he want to judge this bad tree, or this tree that doesn't bear proper fruit? No, he said, look, this tree needs to be taken care of. Where is the problem? The problem is in the soil. Let me change the soil and put fertilizer, put manure, loosen it up and take care of it. Because then the tree will find healing and it will surely start bearing fruit. Okay, that is the way the Lord deals with our lives. He doesn't want to judge us. He wants us to become healthy. Now, I'm going to give this picture, keep this picture in your mind. Okay, I will see anyways that I get the slides to you afterwards and some of the notes. Okay? At least in a digital version. So this is what we call the tree of addiction. Okay, addiction, you can think of it like a tree. And if you look at this Bible story, it speaks about the soil having problems. Now, the soil having problems, it speaks about abuse. Okay? And so you call that the roots of addiction. Okay, you have the soil, and then the roots in that soil, the roots of the tree become sick. And when a tree has sick roots, it expresses itself in the fruits and in the branches of that tree. The tree above ground will not look healthy because there is a problem underground. And this is exactly the issue with every addiction. What you see in the person's life is the addiction, which people call on judgment. Say, oh, look at this, look at that, you know, look at this behavior, look at that attitude. And they want to punish. But, well, Jesus died for that. He carried that punishment. Now, of course, there is a difference between punishment and consequences. Jesus carried the punishment for our sin, but that does not automatically mean that the consequences are taken away. You see, every one of these addictions ultimately leads to death. For example, what happens to an alcoholic? The alcohol leads ultimately to liver cirrhosis and that person will die of liver cirrhosis. Smoking ultimately leads to lung cancer, and that person will die of lung cancer. Okay? Every addiction leads ultimately to death. That death is a consequence, not a punishment. Okay? It's simply, if I do not take care of my body, sexual immorality, it leads ultimately to sexual transmittable diseases that make us sick. One of those, it's HIV/AIDS, and it will kill us. The issue is that no matter that every addiction ultimately leads to death, that fear never stops an addict from being involved in his addiction. Because the addiction itself is not the original problem. The problem is hidden in the soil, and the addiction is a consequence of the problem. The real problem is a sickness in the roots underneath, and the roots being planted in a poisonous or completely depleted from nutrition soil. So the ultimate problem and the place where the problem started is in the soil of our lives, in where the place and the way how we grew up. And so that need to be changed. And then you will see that in general, people start doing very well. Because have you ever asked a group of children, if you go to a primary school, or maybe in Sunday school, and you ask a whole group of children, what do you want to become when you grow up? Have you ever heard any child saying, oh, I want to become an addict? Have you ever? No, nobody wants to become an addict. And let me tell you, no addict wants to be an addict. Every addict is having regret and remorse on his own life because they know they are stuck. But it is the sickness in their lives that keeps them in that place of sin. So when you look above the ground, you see sin. If you look underneath, you see spiritual and emotional sickness. Punishment of the sin, which is the old covenant of the law, will never be able to bring redemption. So if you judge an addict, you are not bringing Jesus to him, you are not bringing him to Jesus, you are not bringing any redemption in his life. You might say it is the truth, but it is not the truth. It is not Jesus. When you break through their barriers and you start looking in their lives underneath, you will see their brokenness, their shame, their grief, the anger, the fear, the loneliness. And when you look beyond that, you see how their lives have been abused in different ways. And we're going to look at those issues, okay? And if you recognize, besides I ask you to write down all the things the Holy Spirit convicts you of, when we start speaking about the different ways of abuse, I would like you on the other side of your paper to start writing down the abuses you recognize that you have been going through in your own life, okay? Because they need healing, okay? And you will never be able to break free from whatever keeps you captive if you do not find the healing of the pain that brought you into that place and is holding you in that place in the first way, okay? In the first place, okay? So I want to pray also for healing over your life, wherever your pain is, okay? Do you understand this whole picture?
Yeah, I guess I do.
Yeah, if you have any question, please just raise your hand and ask any moment, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Now we first will start looking at drugs, okay? Oh, somehow my slideshow doesn't go well. Okay. in the book of Proverbs, you know, the Bible speaks about these issues. The book of Proverbs 23, verse 19 to 21. Okay, it actually gives a very good explanation. I know it's a very good. It's actually, if you look at the worldwide, the official definition of alcoholism, you already find it in the Bible. But let's first look at Proverbs. It's another one afterwards we will look at. It says, "Listen, my son, and be wise, and direct your heart in the way of the Lord. Do not associate with heavy drinkers of wine, or with gluttonous eaters of meat." Now, here already is very funny. In the church, the first part of verse 20 we keep, but the second part, do you ever hear a pastor speaking against gluttonous eaters of meat? No, overeating, oh, no problem, because many pastors do it themselves. Okay? But I'm sorry, they are here mentioned together in the same verse. No differentiation. They are both addictions. They're both keeping people away from the Lord. The one is not worse than the other. They're both, whatever keeps us away from the Lord is destruction. And it says, for the heavy drinker and the glutton, gluttony is just the biblical word for overeating, will come to poverty, and the drowsiness of overindulging with clothes, one with rags. Ha, look at this one. Here we have another one. The drowsiness, then you already think probably is going to speak about alcohol, isn't it? Yes? And it says, no, and the drowsiness with clothing. How many people are not running after the latest designs and the latest clothing and this? Oh, they always must wear the latest fashion. They're addicted to dressing up. And what does King Solomon say here? It will leave them in rags in the end of their life, because all the money goes to clothing. Is just another addiction. Always wanting to show off, getting your pleasure and satisfaction from people gazing at your beautiful clothes, making an idol out of yourself. It doesn't make any differentiation here. But what do many people do when they go to church? Now, I don't say that you should dress casually when you go to church. But what is the motivation of many people for the very clothes they are wearing to church?
To show off.
Yes, you know, I'm quite tall. Because of my length, I am most times able to look over the headscarves some women put on their heads. You know what I'm talking about, isn't it?
Yeah.
These huge, and everybody in church is only seeing the big clothes woman wrap on top of their head, and they cannot even see the pastor anymore. Why wearing these extravagant big things when you are even disturbing the people behind you with it? Okay. Now read from verse 29. This is the in the same line that you see the scientific description of alcoholism today. Already King Solomon was describing it. You know, the Bible is very up to date, very accurate, also medically and also scientifically. It says, who has a woe, who has sorrow, who has strife, who has complaining, who has wounds without cause. This is about the roots of the tree. Okay? There is complaining, there are problems, you can't resolve it. You are wounded without cause. There are issues that are not supposed to be there. You have a woe, you have a sorrow, you have a pain. Whose eyes are red and dim, No, on the one hand, red of crying, dim, but on the other hand, also red of the alcohol, because that's one of the things alcohol does. Those who linger long over wine will go to taste mixed wine. Now, when you mix different alcoholic drinks together, it becomes more powerful to get you drunk. Okay? So the Bible already speaks about that. Solomon knew all about it, up to detail. It says, do not look at wine when it is red. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't drink red wine, but you can drink white wine. It's about, you know, when it sparkles in the glass, when it goes down smoothly. In other words, when the wine starts talking to you, okay, drink me, okay? The red here speaks to the redness of the eye. At the last, it bites like a serpent and stings like a viper. It will lead to your death, just like the bites of those snakes, okay? And it says, your drunken eyes will see strange things and your mind will utter perverse things. You know, our behavior when people are drunk, it causes trouble in our lives. You will be as unsteady as one who lies down in the middle of the sea, and as vulnerable to disaster as one who lies down on the top of a ship's mast. Like, you know, everything starts turning and twisting around in a drunken man's head. And you will be saying, they struck me, but I was not hurt. You see, there was first complaining, there was hurt, and there was pain. And now they are drunk, it numbs the pain, and they say, yeah, they struck me, abuse happened, but you see, I'm no more feeling it. You have numbed it with the alcohol. And they beat me, but I do not feel it. When will I wake up? I will seek more wine. You see, it's a repetitive behavior. And this describes exactly the pattern and the backgrounds of every addiction. No, the Bible, the word of the Lord is amazing. If we just read it carefully. So now let's go from alcohol to the next addiction, overeating, gluttony. Now we already saw gluttony in Proverbs. Now every overeating is every bite you eat once your stomach is satisfied. Okay? And the issue of overeating is that when you stuff yourself full of food, you numb your frustrations and negative emotions so that you don't feel them anymore. And it makes you sleepy and forget about all your troubles. Now, if you eat very heavy food, doesn't it make you sleepy?
Well, people say so, but I actually don't really feel it. It doesn't really affect me that way. I don't know.
Many people feel sleepy when they eat very big plate of heavy food. Okay? Now, heavy food is created, especially in Nigeria. People eat very heavy food.
Yeah.
But why do people do that? Because culturally, you know, in Nigeria, people do a lot of heavy physical labor. I mean, I respect every farmer in Nigeria who plows the whole land with a manual hoe. You see, in the Netherlands, one farmer can have a land as far as your eye can see, and within 2-3 days, he has plowed all of it. Because they have these huge tractors. They are massive. You look up, even I, as tall as I am, I look up to those tractors. They have plows behind it with, I don't know how many rows it plows at once and make the ridges at once in one pool. And they go over the land, and within a few days, as far as your eye can reach, they have plowed it. And the ridges are made all in one go. They do it very fast. And in Nigeria, a whole army of people are for weeks busy plowing for the same space. Well, if you plow by hand, it takes so much energy. If you don't take heavy food, you will faint. Your body needs all those carbohydrates in order to burn to get that strength. And then people get these big muscles, you know. The same when you build in Nigeria, you know, to pick up the blocks, lift them up and everything manually. But now, if you don't have that heavy job and you eat that same amount of heavy food, what happens? Well, when you are young, you have no problem. But when you are getting older, your belly starts growing bigger, bigger, bigger. Okay?
Yeah.
Our food is to serve our body, to give us the nutrition and the energy that we need. Food is never to be abused to numb our negative emotions, because then the food becomes an idol. You know, I always say you don't need to go to the shrine to commit idolatry. Your idolatry can be just on your plate at your dinner table, when you pile up an amount that your body does not need. And the problem is that your body will start asking for more and more and more food. More and more than that you need. And it's very unhealthy. Now, at this moment, there is worldwide the corona crisis, you know, this virus. Now, the virus is real, okay? Even though it is proven now that it was man-made in the laboratory in Wuhan. And, well, if it was on purpose or by accident released, it looks like it was by coincidence, by accident, because the first people who got sick and did die were the workers in the lab in Wuhan. Those were the first corona cases and the first ones who died. Well, you don't do that on purpose, killing yourself to spread a virus, okay? But it was man-made. But who are the ones on the intensive care units and the ones that die? Do you know who are the ones most prone to get on the intensive care and die? Of coronavirus?
It's going to be those that have health issues.
Yeah, well, that's normally what they tell you, isn't it? People who have underlying issues. Now, that is partially true. Partially is true, okay? People will work at the intensive care unit. Okay, there was in the Netherlands, in the television program these last weeks, there was the head of the intensive care unit of the hospital in Groningen, is in the north of the Netherlands. And this man said, do you know who are the ones in the intensive care? He said 80% of them, you know, who have coronavirus and end up on the intensive care are men, much less women. Many of them are men. They are above 65 years of age. In itself, that is, of course, not a sin to be above 65 years of age, but and to be a man is not a sin either. But the next one is, and all of them, he said, are heavy overweight. Here we see the consequence of overeating. They are the biggest group. So if you are over 65 and you are a man, but you are not overweight, you will probably just recover from coronavirus. You don't need to be afraid. But once they are overweight, they end up on the intensive care and die. That's where the biggest problem is. It's one of the consequences of gluttony, as the Bible says. Okay, so gluttony is not a small thing. Another particular thing when it comes to food addiction, because in generally nowadays we call this food addiction, and there are some different varieties of it. The most deadly substance is sugar. Sugar is like a poison for the body. And anyone who loves a lot of sweet should really get to understand. And eating a lot of sugar on a late, young people most times think like, oh, no problem, my body can handle it. Yes, your metabolism will be high and your body will deal with it, but it is still a poison. Your body has to get rid of it. When you don't burn it in hard physical work, it is because everything you have more than that your body needs for burning for energy is poison. And later on in life, that leads to diabetes. Okay. And I know people who have diabetes, especially elderly people, when they have been eating more sugar than they should, the risk is higher to get diabetes. And they have to start injecting insulin, but that shortens your life. And I know people say, oh, let me eat more sweet. I will just inject a little bit more insulin. People will have diabetes. And it's an abuse of the body. Our body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Okay? And why do people overeat? Why do people love to eat a lot of sweet? Because, it is pleasing to the body, and so it numbs our frustrations. Because we use this as an idol, and instead of bringing our frustrations to the Lord and ask him to see it his way and get healing from our problems, we indulge in the food, like an alcoholic is indulging into alcohol. Okay? And actually the alcohol in the body through the liver is also turned into sugar. So after it does its destructive work in the form of alcohol to the brain, once the body has turned it to sugar, it will still do another level of destructive work in the body as sugar before the body gets fully rid of it. Okay, so it's double destructive. Now, this looks like an overeater, but actually the picture shows something else. Can you look very well at the picture?
Yes.
Do you see what is happening in the bottom of the picture? This one, it portrays on the one side gluttony, overeating, but this one is actually a picture portraying religious addiction. You know that religion can be an addiction? And then in the way that the Lord speaks about it in the Bible, a form of godliness denying the power thereof. It's the outward trying to look well and to say, look how, like the Pharisees, look how good I am. Thank God I'm not a sinner. Wearing the most costly clothes to church because then they are better believers. Then they can show off to others. That is religious addiction, and people derive their pleasure from it. It has nothing to do with serving the Lord. And in 2 Timothy 3, verse 1 to 5, it speaks about it. And it says there will be terrible times in the last days, and people having a form of godliness, denying its power. Okay? The next addiction, which one do you think this is?
Internet.
Yes. And what is the most addictive? Well, there are nowadays two most addictive things on the internet. Which? Yes. Well, okay, let me say there are three. Okay? Because you mentioned actually a good third one. Social media, pornography, and online gaming. Those are three. You know gaming?
Yes.
That's also scamming, online scamming.
Scamming, yeah, that's another thing, but and that's only fools that fall for it. It's people that are greed. I mean, honestly, I don't know how people can be so foolish. When you get this message, oh, invest, it's legit, invest, look how this person got double. You put your money and within 1 hour, they send you double back. For what? Is people's greediness exposed? Instant punishment. Money gone. But the social media, the pornography and gaming, you know, playing games, all these online games, it's so addictive, badly addictive, and it destroys the whole younger generation, their lives. Now, you see, when I was in Nigeria, it was frustrating when you have such a slow internet, okay? And still nowadays, you know, especially when we have our Saturday prayer group, most people from Nigeria would love to join the prayer group, but they can't because they do not have good enough internet. Okay? It's only few people that can join. And that's frustrating. But on the other hand, it's also for many people a blessing not to have this fast internet, and then they fall into the temptations. Nowadays, in the US, they did a survey, and it's devastating. 50% of the pastors admitted that they are sometimes watching pornography even when they are preparing for their sermon for the coming Sunday. How can the Holy Spirit still speak to them when they fill their eyes and their hearts and their minds with perversion? And honestly, it is the worst and fastest catching addiction there is. Okay? Now, if you are sometimes struggling with this, I would really ask you to be honest about it, okay? Because there are ways to stop it and to be free from it very quickly. Okay? Thank God there are very good blockers, even free of charge for a very small fee, one-time fee, that really block it quite well in your phones and computers. Okay? So, and to keep, and there are other softwares that help you to keep yourself accountable, and it really helps to just get it out of your life. Because the problem is that internet pornography is like a building block. The more you watch it, the more surely you will fall in immorality one day in action. Now, the other problem with internet pornography is it stimulates our body 200%. So in other words, it's double as much stimulating our body sexually as whatever your wife in marriage can give you. So what will be the case for anyone watching pornography? They will be bored with their wife. As I have lived for 3.5 years in India, 70% of the male DTS students had been sexually abused in childhood. And following that, got, well, the majority, more than that 70% even, probably above 80%, was sexually addicted. And I have gotten so many students, both in DTSs as well as also in the drug rehabilitation centers where I worked and helped, who came and said, "Oh, sir, can you please speak with us? You know, can I please speak with you privately?" And they would come and share and say, you know, my body doesn't even function properly anymore when it comes to sex. Even by the time they get married, they cannot perform properly anything anymore. because their whole body, their brain, everything is destroyed. It doesn't respond anymore to anything because they have been pushing and overstimulated with, as you said, with masturbation, with pornography, everything. And it's like the whole beautiful system the Lord created for marriage has been destroyed. Okay? So please be aware and be alerted of the destruction it brings to our body and to our lives. And the problem is, it is an addiction. One of the key issues of addiction is you can never break with it by your own strength. Then it wouldn't be an addiction. Addiction, you know, every addict always says, oh, I can stop tomorrow. They will never say, I can stop now. They all say, oh, tomorrow I will stop. And tomorrow it's still tomorrow. And it always remains tomorrow. Because you cannot find the strength in yourself to stop an addiction. You need always help. Every addict needs to accept help to get out of it. Okay? But with help, you will surely get out of it. Okay? And this is why we have to stand next to people and to help them out, to help them to say, yes, I need your help, to accept our help. Okay? Because it will burn us. It will destroy us. Or like this cartoonist was drawing, okay? If the computer scheme is like a monster coming out and devouring you. That's what an internet pornography does. And in the end, that's all we can talk about. You know, have you heard people make sexual jokes? Have you ever heard somebody make sexual jokes? Yeah. Okay. Now, let me give you one clue. Anyone making sexual jokes is telling you that he is a sex addict, that he is addicted to sexual immorality. Because only sex addicts make sexual jokes. Nobody who is not a sex addict will make sexual jokes, because it's not to somebody who is not addicted to sex. There is no reason to laugh in it. It's not funny. But only for sex addicts, that is funny. So it is only sex addicts who make sexual jokes. So if you hear somebody make sexual jokes, you know that person is addicted to internet pornography or any other form of sexual immorality. So they're just exposing themselves. They just don't know it. Okay, then the other one, you already mentioned it. You know, when we are addicted to social media. You know, there is nothing more fake than social media. I had a friend last year who told me, he said, yeah, he had seen a couple and they were trying to make a picture to post on their Facebook page. And so they was hugging together, like, you know, make this picture, like this selfie where, oh, look how cute. And then every time one of them would have an argument why the picture wasn't good enough. And they were bickering and fighting with one another, every time smiling again to make the picture and then fighting. Why did you put your face like that? Why didn't you put your arm right? Why did you know? For 10 minutes before they got their perfect picture and posted it. And my friend said, well, he said, I kept my mouth locked, but he said, I really wanted to tell them, please, can you add a comment underneath this that you were fighting and bickering for 10 minutes to make this picture? You know, you have these people who love to bake cakes. And you see the most beautiful cakes they put, but they will never put when a cake is failed. They won't put the picture. It is such a fake image, as if everything is always successful, they are always happy, everything is well. And when you look at the miseries of your life, your struggles, you think like, oh, why, woe to me, look how bad my life is. They are lucky, they are happy, everything is succeeding. And for me, I'm always failing. No, they're also failing. They're just making it fake. You know, my wife, you know, I still have a phone that at least makes proper pictures. You know, it makes the picture really as it is. My wife, she bought a new Samsung phone last when her other phone was stolen. And she is so frustrated with it. Because when you make a picture with that phone, it automatically removes every wrinkle out of your face and smooths your face and makes you look 5 years younger. And you cannot even switch off that function. So even if you just want to have just a normal, true picture of your own face, you cannot make it with it anymore because people don't want to see the truth. And so it is so fake. It is so far away from the truth and the reality. And it is this fantasy world that is created. And nowadays, anyone who breaks the fantasy world of the way how certain people want it, your Facebook account or your Twitter account will be closed. And you know, the Twitter closed former President Donald Trump his Twitter account. And Facebook blocked him for a whole time. When he was still president. What do you think? If they can do it to the most powerful president in the world, and these social media companies are proving we are more powerful than the most powerful president in this world, don't you think they can close your account when you share something about Jesus and they don't want to read it?
Honestly.
They already have closed many accounts of Christians who speak about sexual immorality when it comes to homosexual behavior. Their accounts are getting closed all over the world. In the last 1 month, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram have closed 70,000 accounts. 70,000 in the last month of all of Christians who were either standing with Donald Trump or standing for Christian biblical values. This persecution is going on all over the world, irrespective where you are. But majorly, they are targeting at this moment people in the US and in Europe. But the day will come, they will close your Nigerian accounts as well.
Wow.
And so this is a serious issue. But the issue is people got addicted to them. Now they start ruling and dictating people's lives, and they start dictating what you are allowed to believe or not. Because people are addicted, they are chained to them, and they can't do without them any longer. This is nowadays how we have our social friendship gathering.
Yeah, true. Very true. That's true.
You know, instead of just asking someone, can I get your attention? He's sitting opposite of you on the table and you WhatsApp him, please, can I get your attention? And then he looks up, oh, what is? And the online gaming. People become very emotional in it. Up to shouting and screaming, furious. That is in games nowadays. They have the issue of rage quitting. When you lose or you get killed, they even YouTubers, you know, streaming these things. YouTubers smashing their things to pieces. You know, of course, they get a lot of views for it, unfortunately, and then just buy new ones. But there are also kids, so many children you hear nowadays who smash the television screen when they lose a game.
Wow.
Full of anger and rage because they're fully addicted to the games. And when the game doesn't do what they want, they are out of control emotionally. Small children, 6, 7, 8 years old, fully addicted. And this is the addiction that catches children together with excessive watching television. Those are the addictions that catches the youngest children already. Well, okay, there is another one, unfortunately, the one of immorality, that in certain nations, also included the Philippines where we are, catches the young children. When I go out of the street here, at the end of the road here, there is some community, and the little kids already behave so immoral. 8, 9, 10-year-old kids pulling one another's private parts, making sexual moves and behaviors to one another because of the sexual abuse obviously going on in their lives. Addictions catch people younger and younger these days. And in the end, it destroys us. Okay? The next addiction is gambling. Also a behavioral addiction. And gambling is trying to make gain without working for it. Okay? So this is where, when you speak about this online scamming, online scamming is nothing else as a gambling machine. You know, gambling machines are always programmed that they are the ones always winning. Once in a while, they release some money to keep people going, but they are programmed that in the end of the day, they are the one that make the money and you are the one that is losing. Yet people hope and always to be the one that get that big time when the machine gives money once in a while. They still are so much looking for the machine, the tang, 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 when the money comes out. Because they're addicted to it. Believing they're the lucky one, but they aren't, and they lose their money. And it's amazing when you see these slot machines. I thank God in Nigeria, they are not much there. But when you see them in Europe, they are sometimes just standing in a corner of a restaurant. You see people just throwing in money, pang, 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 and they just lose money. As if it is nothing. But they are addicted to it. Oh, or in the casinos. Yes, please ask.
This issue of gambling and betting, though
yes.
I don't do it. I'm not in support of it. But I just want to ask, supposing I'm not addicted to it, yeah, suppose I'm not addicted, but I do it once in a while, like just do it. Is it wrong?
Yes. Don't do it at all. Because yeah.
There are times I used to try to point out, no, because like I said, I'm not in support of it in any way. I used to try to point it out, but I don't know, up to now, I've not really had a solid way to back it up to establish that it is actually not really right.
Yeah. Betting is a form of gambling. And it always it derives the pleasure from the raised amount of adrenaline your body will make in order to try to win or to hope to win. So your body, it is a stimulation to your body to increase the amount of adrenaline production. And it is the adrenaline you get addicted to. Now, adrenaline, and that counts for all the behavioral addictions. It's adrenaline and dopamine in the brain. You know, the adrenaline is made at the adrenal glands, and the dopamine is one of the drugs produced in our brain that stimulates us. Now,
okay, so you are saying that there is like almost 100% probability that everyone who starts this issue of betting and gambling at all ends up in addiction.
Well, in the first place, you need to ask yourself, why am I doing it? What is the reason to do it at all?
the answer is definitely going to be because I want to. I hope I will be willing to, use this little input to get big outputs, like to gain
Ah,
something big.
yes,
Of course, that's always the explanation.
yes.
Like I try
What,
out. No, and I might just gain something big by putting in this little thing. That's always the explanation, I guess.
yes, and what would be the reason that you need that big money to come out?
Of course, everyone has the different reasons why they need money duplication or money increment like that. They have the problem because of they have bills, they have projects they want to do or whatever it is,
Mhm.
whether good or whether wrong, good
Uh-huh.
or right. I don't,
Yeah, so people have projects, things they want to do, or they have needs, they have problems,
yeah,
debts.
I mean,
Yes. Now,
yeah.
in the first place, every bet, every system of betting, every system of gambling, how have those been set up?
Of course, I guess it's.
Who is the one winning? Who is the one ending up with the big money?
No, of course, definitely it's the betting company.
Yes, aha. So who is the one losing?
People are losing
Aha.
definitely.
Okay. So
Of
in the
course,
first place, it's a lie you are living because you are the one losing. It's already set up for you to lose. Now, of course, they trick people because very few people will get money. Otherwise, nobody would fall for it. Okay. Now,
okay, allow me
but now I want to pull it one point further because I want to go. We have to bring everything in the context of the Lord and His word. What has the Lord promised us? Seek you first the kingdom of God, and all the other things, those I will give to you. So when I am in debt, where do I find my way out of my debt? By gambling or by going on my knees and seek the face of God?
well, I guess that's
God will say you should gamble. God will not say you should gamble.
And if I go to the gambling to resolve my poverty problem, what am I doing? Instead of going to the Lord, my gambling then is my idol, and makes me to be a bush in the wasteland, trying to make flesh my strength. That's what it speaks about. God is the one who provides all our needs. And I mean, I can give you 1 week of testimonies how the Lord has been providing for all my needs, and I didn't need any gambling. Let me give you one quick testimony. I already gave one, of course, with the outreach team yesterday, but when we bought the YWAM land for YWAM in Jos. Now, YWAM in Jos has 15 hectares of land. Now, the first 10 hectares we bought, and we had been looking all over the area around Jos where we could buy an affordable land. And so one point we went to the village head of Dutsenkura, where the YWAM base is, and we said, we are going out today. We are looking for land to buy for the base. And the village head said, going somewhere else to look for the land? Don't we have land here that you can buy? He said, which land do you want to buy? We said, yeah, but you don't have a land big enough here without houses on it or people living on it and people using it. And how can we need one big piece of land. We need to be able to get a land from one person that is very big. He said, no, we don't want you to leave this village. We will make a deal with you, and we will tell the people, with the elders and the youth, and we will tell the people which land you want, and everyone has to sell the land to you. And for the price we agree together. So you don't need to negotiate with all the different owners individually. You negotiate with the elders and the youth, and the price we settle together, that is the price everybody will get for their land. And they have no choice to sell or not to sell. They have to sell it to you. With the money, they can buy another land. And then we settled for a very good deal. Very good deal for us. Because they did not want us to leave. And there were altogether 24 different owners involved. 5 people had their house on the land. We had to compensate them for the house. Now, this was, and the money I needed in euros was 10,000 euros for the 10 hectares of land. It's a very good price. Now the land is more than 10 times that value. Now, I never had 10,000 euros in my pocket or in my bank account ever before in my life. I never had that amount of money. Not at one single given point. I had 10,000 euros in my bank account. And this was just before I went on furlough, that we had a discussion with the elders and the youth of the village, included the man who was about to become the king, the paramount ruler over the Drukuba tribe. Me, being almost broke in my account, having no money, I confidently said, I am going to the Netherlands next month and I will be back 2.5 months later, and then I will pay the 10,000 euros. Because I knew the Lord wanted us to buy land. We needed land. I spoke purely in faith. Boldly saying, I'm going to pay this. We had shown them the land we wanted. I said in 3 months' time, I'm going to pay for it. I went back to Europe and I was praying, Lord, and then I was shaking. You know, now I had to get 10,000 euros together. And I was thinking, Lord, please. And I was expecting the Lord to bring somebody who donates a big amount to me. Nobody did. People gave a little bit left, a little bit right. I did a lot of work that I earned some money with. And like every money I got, I took this box and I put every little money I got. Every time people gave little money, I put it in the box. And I was wondering, like, Lord, how can this ever add up to 10,000 euros? How is it possible? These monies are far too small. You know, small money, how can it add up to 10,000 euros? At the end of my 2.5 months in Europe, at the end of my furlough, I didn't even dare to open the box in between. I was too afraid. I opened the box in the end and I started counting. You know how much money was there? Exactly 10,000 euros. Then as I went back to Nigeria, just the week before we were to make the payment, the value of the Naira went 10% down. So I got 10% more money for my euros. I could pay all for the land, and I could pay the local government to get the CFO of the land, which is 10% of the buying value. Through that exchange rate difference, the Lord said, now I also give you your land papers. Isn't it amazing? The Lord has said, I will provide. Do you have a project to do? First, ask yourself, is the Lord telling me to do this project, or am I trying to do this project by myself? If it is the Lord that tells you to do the project, he will provide. Don't worry. If you are trying to do a project by yourself without the Lord, better stop the project. Don't think that gambling will help you to resolve it, because that project will run you to ground and into trouble. Okay? So gambling, no, never. It's not one of the ways of the Lord. It's not one of the ways of the Lord providing either. It never is. It's not among the ways of the provision of the Lord, because it's a form of idolatry. Then the next one. This is called codependency, or they also call it people addiction. And people addiction means you are addicted to pleasing people so that they will like you. So you derive your pleasure from people being happy with you, giving you compliments, you know. So, and this is the issue behind this addiction, which is most times not understood as addiction, but it is that you don't have any positive emotion of yourself. And you don't have any positive identity or understanding of your identity by yourself. So what you do is that you please other people so that they are happy. And when they are happy, you copy their happiness, and now you feel happy as long as they are happy. And you copy other people's identity and paste them on yourself. And your true emotions you never show. That's why you see happy, bored, angry, terrified, depressed, or dying inside, there's still the same smile is on the face. Because you fake yourself outside, well, you are killing yourself on the inside, but you just want other people to be happy with you. And it is never enough, and it feels very empty inside. It's called people addiction. Creating fake relationships. Your relationships in this case are never real. You're afraid to tell the truth of your life to your friends. If you think of your 10 best friends, okay, can you think of your 10 best friends that you know? How many best friends you have? Or good friends?
I have okay. Let me think and count. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. Probably just not too much. Probably
6.
Yes, 6, 7, thereabouts.
Okay, okay. Those 6 to 7 friends, okay? How many things are in your life that you are afraid to tell them, or you have never told them, or you would not easily tell them?
Not much.
But there are things in your life you don't feel like telling them, or you are afraid of their response. Now ask yourself, what is the reason that you are afraid to tell them? You see, this issue with people addiction can be very small to very big. I think almost everybody has a level of this in their life. Okay? So it doesn't need to, this kind of addiction doesn't need to be fully life controlling. For some people it is all life controlling. Okay? The Bible calls it the fear of man versus the fear of the Lord. Okay? So the Bible speaks about this. Anywhere in the Bible you read about fear of man, that this is what it speaks about. Okay? So just ask yourself, what is my fear? Why do I not open up about this area of my life to them? And bring that before the Lord and say, Lord, what is this issue? Am I afraid that they might not like me anymore? afraid they might not look at me anymore the way I want them to look at me? Okay. And it's most times issues of fear or issues of sin in our lives that we find very hard to share. You know, and that is why, for example, internet pornography, masturbation, and those are very powerful addictions to be involved in, because we find it so shameful to talk about it with others. So even our best friends, we don't want to tell them. And we find it very hard to ask a friend, please, can you keep me accountable? You know, when I was in India, my youngest daughter was in a play school. And at one point we were with 3 fathers picking up our children. And so we talked with one another and said, you know, it would be nice if we would be a little bit more in contact with one another. So let's share our contact details, our phone numbers. And then one of the 3 picked out his pocket this old Nokia phone. You know, actually they still sell them new in India. I don't know if they still sell them new in Nigeria as well. But just this Nokia phone, you know, all you can do with it is calling somebody and receive and send SMS. That's it. No internet further on it. And so the other man, he said, oh, did your smartphone break that you are using that one? You know what this man answered? He said, no, I have purposefully put my smartphone away. He said, because I don't want to be tempted to go into watching pornography. And he said, I had to put away my smartphone because of pornography. I'm using this one. Now I have peace in my life. I was so proud of that man. He was not feeling ashamed that he had a problem with internet pornography, and he had dealt with that issue in his life, and he had purged that issue out of his life by just limiting himself to a simple Nokia phone. You understand? And that is and even the other man who was standing there, they were, wow, that is really great. That's awesome, man. Proud of you. You know, nobody put him down. Everybody was thinking like, wow, this is great. This is how we are to deal with, especially within the body of Christ. That is how we are to deal with this kind of terrible, cancerous sins that are entering everywhere in the church and destroying the church. And people become honest and open about it. Say, hey, I have this problem. Who else is having this problem? Let's deal with this problem together and let's get rid of this out of the body of Christ. When we open our mouths and say this is an issue, that is how you destroy addictions. But why are people remaining in these addictions? Because of people pleasing, because of codependency, emotional dependency on other people. So we are afraid, what will other people say if I'm honest about my problem? And the fear of man is bigger than the fear of the Lord. Okay, so this is a very destructive addiction as well, binding people in lots of other addictions. Always wanting to be said, oh, you do well. Some people can't handle it if you give them any negative feedback, or you say, hey, this did not go well, and then their whole day is ruined because you told them that they made some mistake. Okay. The next one is an addiction that many people get a lot of compliments for. Is an addiction that is very much praised by many people. And it's called work addiction. A workaholic. Now, work, like the Bible speaks against laziness, isn't it? And rightfully so. No, Proverbs, in this, King Solomon says, go to the end, you lazy man, and see how they work. Follow their way. But being responsible in your work is something else from workaholism. workaholism means you load yourself with so much work. One of the reasons being people pleasing, never being able to say no, always saying yes. When people ask, oh, can you do that? Oh, if I say no, he won't like me. Yes, yes, I will do it. But you're already overloaded with work. So not being able to say no, sorry, I've already too much work. But then as well, by loading more work on your head from what you can carry, you make yourself continually being under stress. And when you are under stress, your body will overproduce adrenaline. And the drug adrenaline is what you are actually then addicted to. So you don't want the adrenaline level to go down, because if the adrenaline level goes down, you feel depressed because of frustrations and worries in your life that you don't want to deal with or don't know how to deal with them. Or maybe pains of abuses from the past. So you load yourself with work, so your adrenaline level goes up, makes you feel better, makes you feel stronger. And at the same time, when you are doing a lot of work, you have no time to think of all your other problems. The problem is that all those other problems are only getting bigger and bigger and bigger and more out of hand. But you remain in your focus on the load of work because people give you applause. Oh, look how what a responsible man. Look how well he is working. He's working so hard. Okay? But inside you are dying and feel lonely and frustrated. Because instead of going to the Lord and help you to resolve the hurts and the pains and the problems of your life, you flee away in a load of work that kills you in the end and becomes like a prison. Now, I have had time, I honestly myself, this is one of my addictions that I'm easily prone to. Okay? I'm very visionary. I see a lot of things that I see are opportunities and how things could change and how you can improve situations and how you can help people. And whenever I see somebody who is very broken and who is in need of help, I find it very hard to say, sorry, but I have already too much on my plate. I always desire to help everybody, but I can't. I am not God. Only God can help everybody. And so I have had times in my life that I had too much on my plate. And when I was in YWAM Amsterdam, after leading the counseling school 2 times, I got into a burnout. Now, thank God, because I am a counselor, because I recognize the symptoms, I wasn't fully into the burnout. I was like basically halfway down, and I recognized it. And I was in the process of preparation of the 3rd counseling school to lead, and I realized I couldn't anymore. Now, my wife, Chinomso, she loved to lead a counseling school as well. And I spoke with her and she was very happy to take over, and she led that 3rd counseling school and she did an amazing job. For those 6 months, all I did was taking care of our 2 children by then. Now we have 3 children, but then we had 2, the 2 that are born in Nigeria, Petra and Emmanuel. And all I did was just taking care of them. And for the rest, I did not even open my email anymore. You know, for every counseling school that we run, I had more than 100 inquiries, about 50 applications for every school. I was replying everybody back and forth, every communication I did, the contact of the speakers, everything I did. I had no one else to help me in the preparation of the school. My other staff team would come in 3 days before the school would start because of visa regulations. Otherwise, they couldn't come on just on the tourist visa. So the day the school, the one school would finish, the lecture phase would finish, and the teams would go on outreach. Already, I would be busy with responding to the students for the next year's school and accepting students and helping them with their visa issues and everything. I was burning out. I was burning down. Yeah. And it's not a good place to get into. It's really destructive. And it has lasting consequences if you get into that. And many YWAMers have been running into burnouts.
Yeah.
And the problem is, once you run in burnout, and that is for me as well, even though I wasn't fully down into it, you very quickly get into it again. A year ago, I got very close again. I recognized it and I quickly cut off. But it was when we had to move from India to the Philippines, and I had to say goodbye to all my friends, and it was very painful to say goodbye to my friends in India, as it was extremely painful to say goodbye to the people in Nigeria, because my best friends in this world are Nigerians. And it was very painful for me. And then I had to empty our apartment. And I was really at the end of my capacity. When we reached the Philippines, you know, it was good that we got a 5.5 months lockdown, because I would have just started running into new ministries again here. And the Lord said, no, you're first going to take a rest. Okay? Anytime I get to that point, I go before the Lord and I say, Lord, it's clear that I have taken a workload on myself that is not given by you. And so, Lord, please help me to remember and realize which is the work you ask me and which is the load I took by myself and you never asked me to do. And I cut off those things. Okay? So workaholism is a very terrible addiction, because the problem is that people applaud you for it. Especially within the church, people are very happy for you, and they will push more and more work to you because they don't want to take responsibility themselves. And that's why the work in the church, the whole workload is often pushed to a small group of people, and the rest is just sitting as consumers. That is not what the body of Christ is supposed to look like. Okay? We are supposed to do the work together. You know, this is the fear we otherwise have with work addiction. Oh, if I don't do it, then people will point at me. They will not be happy with me. And we will feel very small. And we feel ashamed if we fail, or if people realize we fail. Even the sharing of our addictions and our problems, we feel so ashamed. Now, what is the issue of shame? Because shame is the underlying issue behind addiction. Okay, I realize we have not been taking any break. Okay, please, Uncle Paul, please remind me next time to take break. Okay.
Okay.
You know, when I speak about these things, I'm always so excited, you know, to speak about it, so I forget my breaks.
I understand perfectly.
But my student is otherwise not able to keep up with understanding what I'm talking about all, okay?
Oh, I'm following you.
Okay, good, great. Now, I said already that a lot of the issues are underground, isn't it?
Yeah.
One of the, no, not one, the main root of addiction, like of the sick roots of our lives, is shame. Okay? Shame is the biggest motivator into addiction. Now, Nigerians are very bold. Okay? I'm now living in Asia, and shame is a very big thing in Asia. So have you ever heard people speak about shame-based cultures? Now, most Asian cultures are shame-based. By the way, do you know what is the basis of most African cultures? Most African cultures are fear-based. Also Nigerian culture. There is a lot of fear, and that's because of the witchcraft. People have always lots of fear. You know what most European and Western cultures, also US, are based on? They're guilt-based. Guilt is a big issue in Western society. Because of the wrongs a lot of Western countries have done in the past when it came to slavery. And so it has affected the core of the cultures. So every one of us needs redemption in our own areas, okay? But shame, when somebody feels shame, it's like you are afraid what other people will say or do to you. But in reality, in the deepest core, shame is a rejection of yourself. Because in the Bible, the Lord tells us, love your neighbor as yourself, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what if I do not love myself? If I do not like myself? What if I am inside an enemy of myself because I hate myself? When I am ashamed of myself, what will I do? I will hate my neighbor as I hate myself. Because if I already hate myself, how can my neighbor ever love me? So when my neighbor says he loves me, he must have surely a double agenda, and he must have a reason why he says that, because he wants something from me. But surely he cannot love me because I do not love myself. So in the deepest core, shame is abandoning yourself and believing that you can never be loved, that you never can be accepted. And when I lived in sexual addiction before 2000, the year 2000, before that time, before I came to YWAM and before I encountered the Lord, I was so ashamed about myself. I was so afraid to tell anyone. So, and I was afraid that everybody would reject me, but in reality, I did reject myself. People didn't reject me. I had rejected myself. And that's the core of shame. Shame is being afraid that others will see the true person you are. So you hide yourself. Now, the next root of addiction is fear. Oh, wait, I'm quickly looking up for my picture here on the other laptop. Yes. Okay, fear is another big, a big thing. Now, you need to realize this slideshow, I made this slideshow 2 years ago. And just see the picture I put in. I didn't put this picture recent. This picture I put 2 years ago. It's prophetic.
Wow. Wow.
What do you think is happening during this pandemic? What do you think is the real pandemic today?
Fear.
What is is fear? Is addiction? Worldwide addiction is sky high, killing far more people than Corona can ever kill. Addiction is the biggest pandemic in this world, and it's not dealt with and not treated at all. Fear is what governments push on people, because governments are drunk for power and control and financial gain. The big tech, the big pharma, the pharmaceutical industries are all aiming to cash in big time on this pandemic, not minding how many people they kill in the midst of it. They go over dead bodies as no matter how many, because they believe that the world population should anyways reduce. Human life has no value anyways. So in the name of protecting people, multitudes of people are plunged into misery because they are pushed into fear, which leads them to go into all kinds of addictions. Social media addictions are sky high, gaming addiction sky high, movie addiction sky high, pornography above and beyond sky high. Destroying families, destroying societies. And another one that will come as well is loneliness, is another root, which is so horribly. So the roots of our societies get under such a high attack. And it's really terrible. And nobody talks about it. But this is where the real problem is in our society today. Corona is nothing. Yes, it's horrible that people die of it. It's terrible. Every person who dies of it is too much. But you see, the real numbers of people who die are most of them with Corona, not because of Corona. Most people who die of the underlying issues. Not because of the coronavirus. And there are other ways to deal very easily with coronavirus. But you're not allowed to say it because then big tech cannot make money on you. And government leaders cannot push their people under control. And that's what they want. Because the world today is pushing for the Great Reset. They're not even hiding about it. They're talking about it everywhere. But for most people, they're not telling what the Great Reset really is going to be, unless you go and read the big world leaders' papers. Then you understand what the Great Reset is all about. Have you heard the word Great Reset? Just try to find out. That they speak about it all the time in governments in Europe and US now, that we have to get the Great Reset. And the Great Reset basically is a system in which is another form of communism, where nobody owns anything anymore. Government owns everything. Total control of governments over people. And they say everybody will become happy then. Well, I've never seen one single country in the entire history of this earth where government was owning everything and people were happy. But that's what they are pushing for. Why is Nigeria, even though there is a lot of hardship in Nigeria, do you know that Nigerians are doing much better than many other nations where there is poverty? You know why? Do you know why Nigerians are doing much better than, for example, South Africans or Indians or Filipinos here? Even though Nigeria is facing serious hardship? In the first place, Nigeria still has a stronger family system, even though it is deteriorating, is going down. And I pray it will be redeemed. Nigeria still has a sense of value and importance in family. Secondly, Nigerians have their own family land. Every Nigerian is always still connected to their village of origin, isn't it? If you have no job, if you are in the city, you lose your job, you lose everything. There is always your village you can go back to. There is always a family land where you can do farming and sustain yourself, isn't it? Yeah. It is that fact, that system in Nigeria, and this is a God-given system. This is what the Lord, this is really a very godly thing in Nigeria, that there is a family property, a family land that you always can go back to sustain your life if things have gone wrong. And from there, you can build up back to whatever the Lord wants you to do. There is that private property of the family that the family uses to take care of the ones that need it. Okay, when that falls away, people become completely desperate and have nothing to fall back on. But in Nigeria, that's the system you have, that private property, and that is what they want to take away in the Great Reset, where government will take over everything, and you become a slave to the government. And they will dictate to you what you can do and what you cannot do, and what you can believe and what you cannot believe. And that is where the biggest trick is. Because to be a truly Christ-centered Christian will not be acceptable. Already now you see they're closing Christians their accounts. In the US, President Biden has just signed this week a document that makes it illegal for any Christian to give counsel or help to somebody who is in the gay lifestyle, who is a homosexual, or somebody who believes he is born in the wrong body, a transsexual, you know, a man who thinks he is a woman or a woman thinks he's a man. And it's illegal, and you go to prison for it if you dare to say that that is a sin and that is wrong. The only help and counsel you are allowed to give is to tell the homosexual that he should go and have sex with another man, that it is okay, that is good. To tell the transsexual, yes, you are not a real man. You better go and get an operation to make yourself look like a woman. That's the only thing is allowed. If you say anything else, you can go to prison. And in my country, the Netherlands, they are pushing for that same law now as well. Don't believe them if they say they are going to give you freedom. They're going to give you bondage. You are not allowed to follow Christ any longer. Oh, you are allowed to have a form of godliness as long as you deny the power thereof. That is the world we live in today. And it brings the fear on the people. But we have a God that we serve in heaven that is more powerful than any of the fear. God is love. His perfect love drives out every fear. There is no fear in love. Okay? Here we have loneliness. Another thing that has increased so badly in this coronavirus pandemic. Now, is loneliness being alone?
Not exactly.
No, exactly. You see, you can have 1,000 friends around you, but if those friends do not know really what is going on in your life, if they only are friends because of the way you perform before them, then they are all fake friends, and you are lonely in the midst of your friends. Yet on the contrary, I can sit on an island in the middle of the ocean all alone and not feel lonely. As long as I am known by other people. So loneliness means not being known by other people. So as long as I am known for everything in me by a couple of other people, and it don't need to be many people, okay? If you have 3, 4, 5, or even 6, 7 close friends that know everything about you, you will never feel lonely. Because no matter what you encounter in your life, you can call those people, you only need to say 2, 3 words and they already know what is going on, and they will stand with you. Okay, but if they don't know what is going on in your life, they can never stand with you. And you will be lonely. Okay? So loneliness is a sick root leading to addictions. Another root is anger. Now, in many in India, I think just the same as in Nigeria, a lot of people say, yes, I have an anger issue. I'm easily very angry. Now, anger. Okay, let me ask you: is being angry a sin?
I would say yes, and at the same time no, because as the scripture says, I think that's kind of as
Okay. Yeah.
but it said when Paul was saying be angry but do not sin.
Yes.
Do not let the sun go down on your anger.
Yes. Yes. Very good.
So yes, it is the what you use the anger, what the result of the anger that makes it a sin.
Yes, exactly. It says in the Bible, in your anger do not sin. That's what King David writes in his Psalms. So in our anger we are not to sin, because anger can easily trigger you into sin. Now, what is anger? Anger is a warning sign of injustice. It can be a real injustice or a perceived injustice. Okay? And I think that is the point I would like to continue next time, because you have been listening a long time. It's time for your lunch. Okay? But that is real injustice and perceived injustice. Okay? And so anger itself is an emotion that God has created, that he has given us. It's a warning sign of injustice. But then tomorrow I will share more about it. Okay? How it works and what to do. And actually by the end of the week, if I have time, I will share more deeply how to deal with it and how to get rid of anger through forgiveness. Okay? Okay.
Thank you so much, Ansel.
Yes.
In fact, it's so wonderful. All you've been sharing today, I've been so blessed. I'm just by the side here, sitting down, listening.
Yes.
And it's so revealing and so true, all the things you share. And I really want to have some chat with you. I don't know what time you'll be available for. Like, if you can give me like 10 to 20 minutes after now. I don't know if it's immediately you want, or maybe, I mean, you can, or maybe later. But I would love to discuss some things also related issues.
Yeah, I have to, right now I have to actually take my dinner, and I have already the pastor of the church waiting for me, because I've talked with him, because coming Sunday I'm speaking in the church here. And so, and the other pastor is going to lead the worship, so he's asking me to probably what I'm going to speak about, so he chooses the right songs with it. But maybe, and I have someone else I have to call, because we're dealing with an issue in India of a children's home where somebody has sexually touched the children. So I have to deal with that. But maybe tomorrow, if we can do.
Okay, 10 minutes tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Can we do that after the class or before the class?
Before the class is easier for me.
Yes. So class is at 10, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. But what I will do is, I think I will leave you a chat. I will tell you.
Yes. Yes.
I will leave you a chat after now. Then you
Yeah.
can look at your convenience. Then we.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So before 10 tomorrow, I will just chat you something, and then we'll see how it goes.
Okay. Yeah. Or just send me the chat anytime, and then I will read it, and then maybe tomorrow, half an hour before, we can call.
Okay. No problem. Thank you so very much, Ansel.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Okay.